5, ordering fractions, and we are on page 254 in your book. And if you remember back in 5.4, I said that LCD would be coming up. This right here is just replacing multiple from our stuff before. Least common multiple is really meaning the same as a least common denominator. The only difference is least common denominators deal with fractions. Okay, so it is the smallest number the denominators can divide into. And I'm not writing very good, sorry about that. So you will see on this first example. So it says compare 5/6 and 7/9. Now when we have fractions, we can't compare things that have different parts. This one is in sixths, and this one, get my pin to move, this one's in sixth and this one's in ninth. So they're different sizes. So we don't know which one is bigger. A lot of people, they have a pretty good sense with fractions and maybe can make good guesses, but we want to prove it mathematically. So what you do to get these able to compare is we need to have them on the same playing field, which means we have to have common denominators. Okay, and it's best to use the least common denominator. Sometimes we don't always use the least common one, and that's okay. You'll still end up with the right answer, but let's practice trying to find the least common denominator of 6 and 9. What's the smallest number 6 and 9 can go into? Well, if you don't know what it is, one way to find it is to use what we learned in the last lesson, is to take and make your trees. That's 2 times 3, and 9 would be 3 squared. Circle the biggest. So that would be 9 times 2, which is 18. So the least common denominator would be 18. I was thinking 54. You just take 6 times 9. It's all right to use 54, but especially when we get to adding fractions, you want to use the smallest so you don't have to reduce so much in the end. So that means I am going to rename these fractions, the 5/6 and the 7/9, to both have an 18 as the denominator, since both of these numbers can go into 18. Well, 6 goes into 18 3 times, so 6 times 3 is 18. And remember, when you're renaming fractions, whatever you do to the bottom, you do the exact same thing to the top. So I'm also going to multiply the top by 3. Over here, 9 times 2 makes 18, so we'll take 7 times 2, which is 14. Well, now I have common denominators, so 15/18 is just a smidge bigger than 14/18. So 5/6 is greater than 7/9. Okay, and if we would have used 54, we still would have come up with the same answer. So there's their least common denominator. We wrote equivalent fractions, which is, we're just renamed them to have 18s on the bottom, just like they did. And then, because 15 is bigger than 14, we know that 5/6 is greater than 7/9. So what do? You get common denominators, and then you compare those numerators. So now putting fractions in order from least to greatest, the same thing here is you have to look at the denominators, and we have to decide what is a number that 4, 5, and 10 can all three go into. Well, 5 and 10 can go into 10, but 4 won't go into it. When I see this, I'm looking at 20. What do you guys think? Because 10 will go into 20, 5 will go into 20, and 4 will go into 20. So let's rename all of these to have a 20 on the bottom. So what would you do to 10 to get 20? 10 times 2, so 3 times 2 would be 6. 5 times 4 to make it 20, so 2 times 4 would be 8. 4 times 5, so 1 times 5 would be 5. So now let's put these in order. This 5/20 is our smallest, so 1/4 goes first, that's our smallest one. Then 3/10 goes second. You make sure you put the original numbers. And then 2/5 goes third. Excuse me. Sorry. So there's our least common denominator. There's them writing out just like we did. And then this gets a little crazy, right? I'm not sure. We're just looking at them, and I think that's what we had. You guys, let's go back to where I wrote them. Yep, 3/10 was second. and that's what they came up with. Sometimes they make it a little harder to me. All right, wrench sizes. You are making repairs to your bicycle. You grab a 1/2-inch wrench from a toolbox and find it's too small. Should you try a 5/8 wrench or a 7/16 wrench to check it? Well, you need, if an inch is too small, you need something bigger than an inch. And one way to do this is to just use common sense, approximation. 7/16, half of 16 is 8. So 8/16 would be a half. So 7/16 is smaller than a half. 5/8, 4/8 is a half, and 5 is bigger than 4, so the 5/8 would be bigger. Okay, so that's one way to do it, is just to use some common sense. So we need to find a wrench that's bigger. 5/8 is bigger than a half. But if you're not sure, what you can do is you can get common denominators. There's a 2, there's a 16, and that's 1/2, that's 5/8. We can change these all. I can see 16 goes into all of them. Let's change them all to 16s. That would be 10/16, be times 8. That would be 8/16 and 7/16. Well, 10/16 is bigger, so the 5/8 is bigger. And that's them writing the equivalent fractions. So you could, if you can use common sense, but there's always mathematical algorithms you can go back to help you. All right, copy and complete the statement. So in order to compare them, I have to have them have common denominators, 3/7 or 2/5. So what's a number that 7 and 5 can go into? Let's use 35, and I'll just put them underneath. So 7 times 5 makes 35. So we have to rename our fractions with the 35. Whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. 5 times 7, 2 times 7 is 14. Look at that. 15 is greater than 14. So 3/7 is greater than 2/5. So order, okay, we got 12 and a 9 and a 3. What can all of those go into? 24, no, 36. 12 times 3 is 36, 9 times 4, 3 times 12. Let's try 36. Let's rename them to all have a 36 on the bottom. So 12 times 3, so 7 times 3 is 21. 9 times 4, 5 times 4 is 20, times 12, that would be 24. So what's our smallest number here? 20. So 5/9 goes with it, that's the smallest one. Then 21, so that'll be 7/12. And then 24 would be 2/3. So there's our numbers in order from least to greatest. 7/12, 2/3, that's what we had. What if you needed a wrench slightly smaller than 3/4 of an inch? Would you choose a 5/8 wrench or a 13/16 wrench? So we can do, let's change all of these. 16, let's change these to a 16, so times 4, that would be 12, times 2, that would be 10. We need it just slightly smaller than this one. Just slightly smaller than 12 would be, 13's bigger, so that's out. So it would be the 5/8 inch would be just smaller. There we go. Alright. Is that it? Alright. Well, you put them in order, get common denominators. Let me know if you need help.